Hello and welcome back to Brewer's Bastion, your weekly stop for monstrous mayhem and, on special occasions, a particularly relevant treat to fit the world's current obsession. That's right, this week I, along with probably everyone else you know, am diving in to everyone's favorite new Netflix sensation, K-pop Demon Hunters, with a new Bard subclass. Before we get started, I've got to admit I really wasn't sure what all the hype was about before I watched this movie, and I only recently made the decision to do so. Was it really going to be worth my time to sit down and watch this thing? I mean, sure, I've got a friend or two who like K-pop, but the whole premise of K-pop plus Demon Hunters just seemed like it would be squishing two things that didn't belong together into a messy, weird, unappealing hodgepodge to me. And I thought to myself, there's no way that's going to work.
Oh, yeah,
Oh yeah,
totally.
totally gonna
That's
work.
totally gonna work.
100%.
Well, now that I've watched it, guess I have to admit I was wrong. It's a messy, weird, appealing hodgepodge with some of the best music of the year. Numbers don't lie, and when the music of a fake K-pop band reaches the top 10 Spotify songs with multiple numbers, you've got something special, and dare I say, golden, going on. The story was compelling, the commentary on being genuine and vulnerable was insightful, and the whole thing was just a fun time. So, if you haven't watched it yet, give it a shot, and I'd wager you won't be disappointed. And hey, if two things as seemingly disparate as K-pop and demon hunting can go together that well, I don't see why we can't add some D&D to the mix. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to a new bard subclass, the Hunter. Quick side note, no art this time. Figured I'd let the subclass speak for itself without it. And I've been meaning to ask all of you, so let me know in the comments, is the AI art I've included as part of my former monster stat blocks helpful for visualization, or would you prefer I just stick to the stats? Go ahead and let me know. Alright, without further ado, let's dive into the subclass and see how it's done. I wanted to draw inspiration from K-pop Demon Hunters without making this subclass dependent on someone seeing the movie to have a good time with the class. So I've expanded the lore for this subclass to fit any bard who fits the criteria, though Huntrix definitely fits the bill here too. The lore for the class goes something like this. Not all bards dedicate their talents to charming courts or inspiring armies. Some discover a greater calling, one born of an innate desire or ability to fight against the horrors that stalk the world. These bards are known as hunters, artists whose music and performance serve as both a beacon of hope and a weapon of war. Hunters blend artistry with discipline, weaving together song, dance, rhythm, and movement into a deadly performance. To them, this performance is about more than entertainment. It is a ritual of focus, a shield against fear, and a blade against the darkness. Their melodies drive back darkness, sharpen the senses, and turn chaos into unity. Many bards are drawn to this path, whether by happenstance or inheritance. Some come from ancient orders, sworn to root out devils, demons, and other evils. Others stumble into a hunter's life, having learned only recently that their music has the power to banish the world's darkness. Regardless of their origins, a hunter's artistry becomes more than just a form of expression. It is a shield against their foes and a power to drive back the encroaching darkness. They train as much in movement, footwork, and battle readiness as they do in lyric and melody, wielding both their musical talents and their chosen weapons in deadly harmony. Whether traveling alone or leading a troop, hunters channel that same passion that might ignite a crowd into dazzling displays of supernatural combat. In their presence, companions fight with sharper focus, dark forces falter, and even the blackest night seems to pale in comparison to the light in their souls. So, there's your lore. Hopefully that gives you a good sense for where we're trying to go with this subclass. When it came time to actually start fleshing out the abilities for the subclass, I wanted players to be able to start feeling like demon hunters right from the get-go. So I started by taking a look at Huntrix's unique weapons, each of which seemed perfectly suited for their fighting style. To incorporate that theme, the first ability players get at 3rd level when taking this subclass is Hunter's Weapon. When you choose this subclass at 3rd level, you devote yourself to mastering a particular weapon. Choose a simple or martial weapon. As a bonus action, you can conjure a weapon of that type in your hand. You may choose a magic item that you already possess as the subject of this weapon bond, and may use the weapon as a spellcasting focus for your bard spells. Whenever you attack with the bonded weapon, you can use your charisma modifier for the attack and damage rolls instead of strength or dexterity, and you can cause the weapon to deal psychic or radiant damage, or its normal damage type. Once per long rest, you can perform a 1-hour ritual to change the weapon to which you are bonded. This ability capitalizes on the hunter's bond with their weapon, but does allow for the flexibility often needed at the table when you're playing D&D. In a perfect thematic world, your weapon would remain the same throughout the campaign, but magic items, changes to your specific fighting style, and even multi-classing can make that a little too restrictive for a D&D table, so I chose to leave the door open to change your signature weapon when needed, landing it somewhere between the Eldritch Knight's weapon bond and the Warlock's Pact of the Blade. Although, I did allow for the weapon to be ranged or martial, given that Zoe, in particular, from Kpop Demon Hunters, uses her weapon's ranged options more often than not. And just in case your DM doesn't do much with magic weapons, this subclass has that taken care of too. Starting at 10th level, when you summon a non-magical weapon with this feature, it functions as a +2 version of that weapon. Additionally, you can use the weapon mastery property of the weapon to which you are bonded. That's assuming you're using the 2024 rules instead of 2014. Otherwise, you can just nix that little last sentence. With this ability, you capture the unique weapon-focused style of the Demon Hunters, and we'll add a few more distinctive features to keep that relevant as the build moves forward. Before that, however, let's not forget the second, third level ability that the Hunter subclass gets, taking inspiration from the Demon Hunter's specific quarrel with demons. This subclass allows you to choose an ancient enemy, kind of like the old ranger's favored foe ability, but flavored to fit the Hunter vibe. Starting at third level, you specialize in hunting a particular type of foe. Choose one creature type from among aberrations, celestials, fae, or fiends as your ancient enemy. You have advantage on history checks made to remember information about creatures of this type, and can't be surprised, charmed, or frightened by creatures of that type. Additionally, whenever you roll initiative, you have advantage on the roll if a hostile creature of the chosen type is involved in the upcoming combat. And again, to make this subclass a bit friendlier to an ever-adapting D&D experience, you may choose a new creature type as your ancient enemy whenever you gain a bard level. And then at higher levels, when you reach 14th level in this class, you can choose one additional ancient enemy. I felt that allowing you to swap ancient enemies too often would make this theme less significant than it deserves, so reserving that choice for level ups keeps the theme more intact and shows that swapping your ancient enemy is a significant and defining moment, accompanied by the development of new skills and abilities. And of course, adding an additional ancient enemy at level 14 shows your growth as a character, and your experience in fighting a multitude of enemies. At 6th level, you gain an extra attack feature, allowing you to keep making weapon attacks a primary part of the subclass's identity, along with the defensive performance ability, which is an ability based on the movie's distinctive focus on the importance of unity, teamwork, and support amongst the members of the group. Defensive performance gives you the ability to use your powerful performance to protect your allies from darkness. Whenever an allied creature that you can see within 30 feet is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to force the attacker to reroll, and the attacker has to use the result of the second roll. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses after a long rest. It's kind of like a few free situational silvery barbs spells at your disposal, and yeah, it won't work every time, and there is that tiny 5% chance that you accidentally change an enemy's hit into a critical hit by forcing it to take that second roll, but if I'm given this subclass 2 abilities at each subclass level, I've got to keep it balanced somehow, right? And the ability really will pull its weight when you're protecting your tankier characters, who are harder to hit as is. Heck, even if you change a critical hit to a normal hit with this ability, you'll still feel good about having an extra way to use your reaction. By level 14, things start to get really spicy with Performer's Takedown, which allows you to cast a Bard cantrip in place of one of your multi-attacks, and increases the damage of all of your cantrips by 1 roll of your Bardic Inspiration die, without expending those dice, of course. We've seen similar abilities in the Blade Singer and College of Valor bards before, and it's always pretty powerful, and it's definitely a good way to get ready for a takedown. But the coup de grace on this subclass is Banish the Baneful, an ability specifically designed to counter the bard's ancient enemy. Flavorful and powerful. Once per long rest, when you hit a creature of the creature type you have chosen for your ancient enemy feature with a weapon attack, you can immediately cast the banishment spell, targeting that creature as part of the attack, without expending a spell slot or material components. For those who need a reminder about what that spell does, here's the text. One creature that you can see within range must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be transported to a harmless demi-plane for the duration. While there, the target has the incapacitated condition. When the spell ends, the target reappears in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. The spell's duration is 1 minute. If the target is an aberration, a celestial, an elemental, a fae, or a fiend, which, coincidentally, are the same options you have for your ancient enemy feature. Imagine that. The target doesn't return if the spell lasts for the full minute. The target is instead transported to a random location on a plane, the DM's choice, associated with its creature type. The usage of this ability is limited, I'll grant you that, since it can only be used once per long rest. I initially considered making it an ability that triggered whenever you scored a critical hit against a creature of the specified creature type, but that seemed like it might be even more narrow given the rarity of rolling a critical hit, so I settled on once per day instead, to make sure that players can actually intend their uses of the ability and don't have to just rely on getting lucky when fighting their ancient enemy. With this ability, you can instantly end a fight, or at least eat up some legendary resistances, with an extremely powerful foe, provided that they are your ancient enemy. It's an incredibly powerful ability that is perfect at the top end of this class's features, and one that stays balanced because it's limited to its use by the creatures it can affect. Don't forget, though, you get an extra ancient enemy at 14th level, so this applies to 2 specific creature types, and by the time you've reached level 14, I sure hope you have a good sense for what your DM is throwing at you for the plot of their campaign. And with that, the subclass is complete, and you've got a way to bring Huntrix straight to the tabletop. It's been a blast to build, and I'm excited to hear about your experiences playing the subclass. Let me know in the comments below whether you plan on playing one of the band members straight from the movie, or whether you're planning on putting a unique twist on your hunter. Will you play as one of Huntrix's predecessors, a future member of the Demon Hunters, or a character that has nothing to do with the movie at all? As always, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe for weekly monsters and the occasional special project like this one. This subclass is fully available on my Patreon, absolutely free for anyone, regardless of whether you're a member or not. So head on over and get your free PDF and join the Bastion if you want access to all of my other projects. That's all for today. I'll see you next week, and until next time, may your wit be as sharp as your sword. Stay golden, friends.